Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. My friends at Star Ace Toys have given me the opportunity to take an early look at a couple figures from their Real Deform series. Let's see how they turned out. Alright, let's take a look at these two things. They come with two bases, identical except for the placement of some holes which you don't appear to be able to use. I'm a little bit concerned about the fragility of this base here. Actually, to be entirely honest, I was texting the flexibility of it and broke it, so watch out for that. Kong looks pretty good. You can see some fairly obvious seams where the different parts were stuck together, where they keyed together. Given the small size of the piece, I don't think it's terribly egregious. I don't even notice it, and the only reason I bring it up is because, well, we're just looking at it. Oh, look, he's got a propeller. So this is definitely recreating the last battle. Now, this little piece is meant to be a support. I actually had to call and find out what it was for. I actually thought I'd broken something. But we'll show you how that works later on in the video. For now, let's just see how these things display with each other. Normally during this part of the video, this is where I would be showing you how to assemble your premium format statue or how to properly pose your 6-scale figure. But these guys, I wouldn't even go so far as to call them plug and play. They come ready to display. All you have to do is just place them where you want them to be. Having said that, there are some things that you can do to ensure that they look their best. Look closely at the inset video there and you'll see, despite my hand getting in the way, you should see a pretty good indication of how you can use that support for Kong. Now, I have to mention that in this sample that I received, there seems to be a space in the clamshell packaging for the Skullcrawler figure to hold a similar support piece for the Skullcrawler, and I did notice that this guy does have a tendency to lean a little bit to the right, his left, our right. So if you're not careful, he will fall over, so be careful how you do that. Now, if you notice here, looks like Kong's line of sight is not lining up with the Skullcrawler. It looks like he's checking out, I don't know, a cloud formation over the Skullcrawler's head. That's not terribly desirable, so what I'm going to do for the purpose of this display is I'm going to double stack these bases just to give Scully there a little bit of elevation. Before I do that though, I want to make sure that I have Kong nice and supported by his little plastic bit there. I'm putting that back into place again. Now, looking at the inset here, I'm going to show you a little bit of what's involved with Skullcrawler there. The vinyl there is quite soft in the middle, so it's really flexible, no real fears of breakage from that point. It's not going to fall apart. In fact, with the application of heat, you may be able to effectively change the way that he rests. Now, having said that, looking at the arms, they're a little bit more on the stiff side. You can see the keyholes, the lines there where the seams break. That's delicate. Be very, very careful with that. Those might snap off. If they do, I suspect you should be able to just glue them back into place. Same thing that I did with his tail, the support for his tail on the ground, which I broke off at the key point when I first got it out of the package. Don't panic if that happens. Again, it just plugs right back into place. I have to be honest, when Star Ace asked me to review these things, I kind of cocked an eyebrow, like literally cocked an eyebrow, because vinyl collectibles aren't really my jam. I've steered completely clear of the Funko Pop scene. I just don't get them. They're not my thing. I did get a Porg Funko Pop, but as you all know, anybody who's into Funko Pop, the Porgs don't really look like Funko Pops. They look like Porgs. Having said that, given the fact that I am more into the realism of your traditional statues, collectible statues, looking at the realism of the sculpts on these things, I can see where the additional cash went. These things are going to cost you about $55 retail. You might be able to get them cheaper at various outlets, but I think that, you know, $55 for this sort of realistic take on a vinyl collectible, as opposed to the 12 to 15, sometimes more, that you're going to drop on various Funko Pops. For my particular taste, I think that this comes closer to something that I can appreciate in a vinyl collectible. I appreciate the realism, and the deformity just provides like a caricature-like quality to it that I kind of dig. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be good to your plastic.